Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Leeds series. The city of Leeds is one of the 5 metropolitan boroughs of West Yorkshire. 38 civil parishes lie within its boundaries. Which slice of the city are we seeing today? So today for you in the city of Leeds, I've gone up to the furthest northeastern corner that you can go within the city's boundaries. This is the parish of Walton. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Walton, or to give it its full name, Walton in Ainstey, is the most northeasterly civil parish within the boundaries of the city of Leeds. It's adjacent to Thorp Arch village and Thorpe Arch Trading Estate. Lying in the valley of the River Wharfe, and despite being in Leeds' boundaries, Walton identifies much more with Wetherby than it does with the city. The large village of Boston Spa is also nearby. Our route is pretty circular. Beginning on Hall Park Lane, we'll be walking along Main Street and back down Wetherby Road. Our first major landmark is a pub, the Fox and Hounds. There's a very strong Roman influence upon the area, with a Roman road, Rudgate, running due north and south alongside the eastern boundary of the village. Walton has quite a lot of notice boards, so many in fact that I got through a lot of cards here. Not the first time that's happened. Think back to Thorpe Arch in Wakefield. Here's the main one, near the pub. So Nikki's just had her audition for the Krypton Factor, working out how to open this parish notice board. I've never seen one that opens like this before. Opens downwards instead of opens round, or it's weird. All does the same job though. Make sure you put it back on right, Nikki. The name Walton is a common one. This is at least the 3rd village with this name we've seen on the channel. It means village or farmstead of the Britons and is taken from the Old English wall. For a while in the 1990s, there was a plan to develop Walton into a new town. This plan was never put into practice, but in theory it could still happen, as land is still available locally. Walton was once on the York and North Midland Railway line until it was dismantled in 1964. The village has never had a railway station itself, although there was one very close by in Thorpe Arch. The village was once famous for a rag well, the water of which was said to cure eye ailments. This name arose from the custom of tying strips of cloth as mementos to the tree by the well. Swift Nicks, who was a notorious highwayman, is said to have fallen asleep one day by the well and was surprised by a group of local men who had come to arrest him. He escaped by pointing a bur-tree gun or stick at them. Thinking it was a real gun, their courage deserted them and they ran off like frightened cattle. Since then, local men are often referred to as Walton Calves. Continuing along Main Street, we come to St Peter's Church, which has a west tower with a clock on its southern face. It stands on top of a hill and can be seen for miles around. There was an extensive restoration undertaken between 1890 and 1891 to the plans of architect W.M. Fawcett. In 1966, it was registered as a Grade 2 listed building. So Nikki's just made a really good point about this path up to the church. What was it, Nikki?
Well, I got married in a church when I got married first time. It didn't have a path like this. This one, you can't perhaps see it on camera, but it does slope upwards. Can you imagine? You've got flagstones interspersed with cobbles, trying to walk up this path with some heels on in a great big meringue of a dress, and you can't see where you're putting your feet. You'd have your ankle over before you got into the church. And he's just said, well, surely the groom should carry the bride. That's afterwards, dear. What about before? Are they going to get you in there to do the deed? What are you going to do? You know, walk up the grass?
You might have no choice.
I tell you what, me and heels don't mix anyway, but even if they did, there would be no way you'd catch me walking on this. Yeah.
We had a quick look around the churchyard. On the wall here is a list of cemetery and graveyard rules and regulations. Everything said is standard practice and common sense, as you'd expect. The church overlooks a cricket club. Walton Park Cricket Club was formed thanks to a 2015 merger of Walton Cricket Club and Wig Hill Park Cricket Club, the latter originally created by Lord Hawke. Although the church mostly dates back to a period of 1325 AD, it contains remains of an earlier Norman church of about 1150 AD. St Peter's has outlasted a Wesleyan chapel, which also once existed in Walton, but that was pulled down in the 1960s. As Main Street comes to an end, we get a look at two buildings which have been repurposed. The first of these is the White House on the corner of School Lane. This is the old post house. The second building is just around this corner. It used to be the village school, hence the name of the road. It was built in 1847 to accommodate up to 80 children. Since 1924 though, that very same building has been a village hall, barring a short period during World War II, when it was once again a school for both locals and evacuees. All of that and more is explained on this, the first of two information boards we found on the route around the village. There's way more on these than I can fit into one episode. This sign on Wetherby Road is pointing us towards the British Library, which overlooks Walton on Thorp Arch Trading Estate. It's an 8-storey building, which we'll see very shortly. Wetherby Road is also where you can catch a bus or two. There are two services here. The number 7 is the main one, and that will get you to Leeds. You can also get the 412 to York. On the back of the bus shelter is a plaque which tells us that this was erected thanks to the Parish Council and the West Yorkshire Rural Transport Partnership, as well as a local landowner. The road here, by the way, has speed cameras. Whilst that might not sound unusual, what is highly unusual is they're the only ones in this area of Leeds. Don't be fooled here, these houses are on Grange Avenue, which is theoretically Thorpe Arch and not Walton. The parish boundary excludes these from the village. Turning off Wetherby Road, we find the other information board. This one I'm nicknaming the Well board, as it tells you about St Helen's Well, presumably the one we spoke about earlier. Smiddy Hill takes us back towards the centre of the village. On the way, we pass one of Walton's 5 listed structures. The building in question is Walton Old Hall. A rebuilt manor house, this was later extended and altered. It's made from magnesian limestone and it has a modern 20th century porch. Most of its windows are mullioned. There's just time to mention the local events that go on here, which include a harvest festival and a summer fair. Every household was involved in the parish plan in 2003. They love where they live here. And we're back where Main Street meets Hall Park Lane at the bottom of Smiddy Hill, where we find a West Riding fingerpost sign. I love finding these, they do seem to be very few and far between. So according to one of the information boards earlier, there used to be 2 pubs in this village. One was called the Black Bull and the other one we've seen already is the Fox and Hounds. And we can recommend the Fox and Hounds, can't we, Nikki?
Definitely.
Because before we started walking around Walton, we went in there for a bite to eat. It's very nice inside, very friendly staff, and I would definitely recommend.
Yeah, really nice, very clean ladies' room, incredibly clean. It's something I'm a bit picky about. And the food was really good, and even my pudding tummy was full, and I hadn't even had pudding. So that tells you it's good portions, good food, reasonable price, nice staff. Couldn't say anything better, really.
And just so you know, that's what it looks like from this side. And there you go, I'm all the way around Walton with Mrs. TVI, but we're not quite finished because now we have to go onto Thorpe Arch Industrial Estate, and I've opted to drive this instead of walk it because of its sheer size. It's absolutely huge, and although part of it falls within Thorpe Arch and not Walton, it's all going to get done in this video. It doesn't make sense to go to it twice and split it between 2 videos. Let's hop in the car and see what we can find. Thorpe Arch Trading Estate is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a trading estate with both industrial and retail space. The estate occupies the major part of the site of a former Royal Ordnance Factory, or ROF for short. This was ROF Thorpe Arch. A major development and the biggest employer on the estate is the British Library Lending Division, the British Library's second site after the St Pancras site in central London. Weirdly, even though it's located on Thorpe Arch Trading Estate, it's known as the Boston Spa branch, and it's housed in a large 8-storey concrete building with windows set in narrow slits to avoid light damage to the books. During the Second World War, with the construction of ROF Thorpe Arch, the aforementioned railway was extended to and around the factories before it closed in 1964. New roads were created at the time of the war to house ordnance in separate bunkers. As no account was made at the time of the parish boundary, a situation exists today where Walton parish boundary passes directly through buildings on the estate. ROF Thorpe Arch was built to supply British forces with munitions during the Second World War. The site was ideal, it had open space and was not in a strategic bombing area. Railway sidings were built, and these are still evident in certain areas, and buildings were constructed around them, many with flat concrete roofs. The Royal Ordnance Factory closed in 1957. However, with a boom in the construction trade and many others in the post-war years, the site found many new industries requiring the space it could offer. The street names are all uniform, with roads running in a north to south direction named Street 1, Street 2, etc., and those crossing them named Avenue A, Avenue B, etc. There are level crossings on certain streets, despite the railway having been long dismantled. George Moore, the founder of Moore's Furniture Group, bought the site in the 1960s and converted it to a trading estate. Moore's Furniture Group factory is situated on the estate, as is Leeds City Council Household Recycling Centre, a sewage works, and many other small businesses. The Thorpe Arch Retail Park occupies semi-underground bunkers, and many of the retail outlets have grassy banks up the exterior walls. The retail park once had a branch of Texas Home Care. Bargain Street, which was a local West Yorkshire discount clothes and household goods retailer, also had premises here. Now let's see how many of you are officially old. How many of you can remember this advert?
Time is running out. The Northern Upholstery sale ends this Sunday. These are the final reductions. Save £200 on this luxury below suite, now £490. Save 25% on this Draylon Chesterfield, now £196. Save £300 on this Super Draylon suite, now £389. Save an incredible £500 on this all leather suite, now £890. Northern Upholstery in Carcroft, Brigg, Thorpe Arch and Hull. The sale ends this Sunday. Go quickly before it is too late.
That was a 1983 advert for Northern Upholstery, the company that would eventually become DFS. Formed in Carcroft, Doncaster in the late 1960s, Northern Upholstery had one of their branches right here on this trading estate. If you do remember the advert but you never got to Thorpe Arch to check out all those furniture deals, the branch is now permanently closed. Okay, it's time for Walton's picture bit. Here that comes right now. So where one civil parish ends, another one must start. And Walton and its neighbour, Thorpe Arch, are pretty much intertwined with each other because of Thorpe Arch Industrial Estate, the former ordnance factory. And we'll be going to Thorpe Arch in the next episode. In fact, where I'm standing right now is pretty much on the border. For now though, this has been the parish of Walton, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.